I thought that it was, just related to tension and things like that, but there doesn't seem to be any correlation that I can pick up. So I've been taking Cyanate, eating Cyanate like crazy, and I was wondering if you knew, was that vascular migraine related to what's going on now?
Certainly could be, but you're right. You'd have to find some change in your life or yourself to explain why you went from what I presume to be a relative headache-free state to a headachy state practically overnight. So there has to be an explanation, and if it's not in your physical makeup, that is to say, if your doctors are in agreement that there's nothing physically wrong with you, you really should think about your entire life, your eating, your sleeping, your friends, your relatives, your living quarters, your job, your ambition, and everything. And you may find the answer.
Yeah, I have two other scenarios. My sister-in-law went to a doctor. She was having headaches, and he asked her if any time she was hitting the nose at all. And she said that she had been, and he noticed that there was something in the nasal area that had been broken, a fragment of some type. When I was at Heckinger's, I moved something off a shelf that was too high, and when I went to knock it forward, I didn't catch it, and my nose did.
You caught it on your nose, yeah.
And I'm wondering if about that time is when the headache started.
Well, that's quite a different story from just driving along and suddenly you got headaches. So, of course, being hit is a well-known cause of headaches.
Okay. The other thing is, can sugar cause headaches?
Yes.
Okay.
It tends to cause migraine-type headaches, excessive amounts of sugar.
Okay. Well, thank you, Doctor, very much.
Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
The number is 270-0101, 270-0101 if there are other questions about headaches. One thing we haven't talked about, Dr. Satinsky, has to do with, you mentioned a lot of the patients who come to you are people who have been suffering from headaches for years or for a very long period of time. But what is a headache pain like that is something serious that a person should seek some professional attention for? For example, are there certain types of headache pain which might be an indicator of some other type of problem, or which might be an indicator of something that could be helped by a doctor?
The most worrisome kind of headache is one which is new. That's the most important principle. If you either never had any headaches and suddenly are having them, if you used to get headaches that were in the front of your head on both sides and suddenly you're developing a pain in the back of your head on one side, if your headaches used to be only when you wake up in the morning and now they're occurring in the middle of the night or in the afternoon, any change in your headaches is worrisome. And that is the major reason for seeing a physician promptly. Now, after that, you ought to consider seeing a physician, but it can be done at your convenience. There are times of the day and night which are more worrisome than other times of the day and night.
Such as?
For example, tension headaches, which are certainly the commonest form, tend to build up as the day wears on. As one might expect, the stresses and anxieties of the day finally wear you down, you get tenser and tenser, and your headaches get worse as the day wears on. These are pains which are in the muscular areas of the head and neck, and so they're going to be in your forehead, in the back of your head, and down in your neck, typically on both sides at the same time. Migraine headaches, which are also non-organic, may occur in the middle of the night and may occur on awakening, but many other kinds of headache of a serious nature occur in the middle of the night and on first awakening. For example, anything which causes increased pressure in your head, whether it's a brain tumor or a blood clot or some other kind of cystic structure that you might have been born with that's expanding, but anything which is getting larger inside your head tends to give headaches that are predominant when you first awaken. What you see is the opposite of the tension headache, which should be best when you awaken. Right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for calling.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Telephone number is 270-0101 if you have a question. We have about 5 minutes left. You can call right away, and you can still get your question in. We were talking about medication for headaches. A quick question. Over-the-counter medication. Do doctors, you in particular and doctors in general, tend to prefer aspirin products or to acetaminophen products, which would be the Tylenol and that family of headache remedies, or is there a preference? Does it make a difference?
If the medicine is taken infrequently, certainly any of the over-the-counter medicines is as safe as the others, for the most part. If you're going to end up taking medicine every day, you can get into trouble with any of the over-the-counter medicines, but certainly we've seen more trouble with aspirin than any of the others because of its gastric irritation. But even worse than that, we've known for years that certain prescription medications aggravate headache, so that narcotics, Valium, and the ergotamine, which I won't go into, containing drugs, if they're taken regularly, the headaches will become more frequent and more severe. What has only been turned up recently is that the regular and methodical use of aspirin and maybe Tylenol can also aggravate headache. So if you take 2 or 3 aspirins 4 times a day, every day, in a little while, your headaches will be more frequent and more severe than when you started. And the only way out is to discontinue the medications, even the over-the-counter medications. This may have to be done with medical supervision, but I do want to point out that even the things that you can buy without a prescription can get you into trouble if you overdo it.
Okay. We have just a couple of minutes left, and we do have somebody who's waiting, so we'll go to our caller right now. Hello, you're on the air.
Yes, thank you. I'm enjoying your program, and I want to ask the doctor about the relationship between headaches and Tmj and Myofascial Syndrome. The doctor just told me that I'm experiencing that, and if you can make some comments about the headaches I'm getting along with that.
I should define for the rest of the listening audience what a Tmj syndrome. It stands for temporomandibular joint, which is the jaw joint, where the jaw opens right in front of the ear. And patients may develop a malfunctioning of that joint and its surrounding musculature so that the muscles in the area go into spasm. And the muscles that close that joint, that close the jaw, are the huge muscle mass that runs along the side of the head in the temple and up over the ear, and the muscle that lies over the angle of the jaw, sort of in front of and below the ear. There are also muscles that run down the neck from behind the ear, and they stabilize the head so that the jaw can open adequately. And all of these muscles can go into spasm from malfunctioning of the temporomandibular joint. So you can get a headache which is either on one side or both sides, and which can involve the temple, the side of the head, the jaw, or the neck, the back or the side of the neck. It tends to fool a lot of people because sometimes the pain is felt in the ear. It seems to emanate from the ear, and you're not going to the ear doctor. And there's a definite correlation with stress. That's been emphasized over and over again in numerous publications, that the more stress a person is under, or at least the more stress they perceive themselves to be under, the greater is going to be the pain. And so the management of Tmj problems consists of, in some fashion, trying to correct the joint itself, or the jaw, and you can wear splints of various sorts, you can have your teeth aligned differently and so forth. Those are dental problems. And you can then go through some process of trying to minimize the muscle spasm that results from the stress you're under. And that could come under the heading of stress management. We do a lot of that in our own office with biofeedback. There's psychotherapy if there are legitimate psychological problems that have to be dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
We're almost out of time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
And have a good evening. The number is 270-0101. However, I don't think we can take any more callers on the air. If you've got an urgent question, you can call immediately after we get off the air. Thank you very, very much, Dr. Satinsky, for being here this evening. It's been real interesting and a real quick hour.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
I've been talking this evening with Dr. David Satinsky from the Neurology Center. Dr. Satinsky is a neurologist, deals with headache patients most of the time, and our guest next week on Here's to Your Health will be Dr. Stephen Strauss, who developed a program